All right, time to break
think
down a
it's an
lawsuit.
outro.
This is the fun part.
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
This is going to be interactive, by the way. I designed it to be interactive.
In what way? Like Q&A,
Choose your own adventure.
Q&A style?
In what way? We're just gonna throw apples at you every time you get it.
It's 4D.
Points will be rewarded.
All right, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another regularly scheduled episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David, the actual David, not the other David Pierce that you should all go watch the episode that we just published earlier this
That
week.
was smooth.
That was
Well played.
well played. I was wondering why you didn't write that in the script, and because you just had it ready to go.
I actually didn't have it ready to go. It just came out.
Wow.
It was good. Yeah, if you didn't already watch our productivity based apps versus alarm
Andrew's mess
clock
of a
app
life, yeah.
episode, you should check it out. It went up this past week, and it's super fun, and it's prompted a lot of people to diagnose us with various things, which is totally cool too. But I think it's still worth watching. But this week we got a lot to talk about because we missed some stuff that technically happened last week, because you know how we record on Wednesdays and then all the news happens on Thursday, and we're like, why did the U.S. sue Apple the day after we recorded the podcast? That's
Yeah.
crazy. So we got a lot of Galaxy II to talk about, Dub, I/O, FSD, just all acronyms
DOJ.
actually.
The acronym
DOJ.
episode.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about all that stuff. But we should start with the Fediverse.
Yeah.
Should start with the Fediverse.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am not. So I use Threads, but I don't keep up as much with Mastodon and others like Blue Sky.
Yeah.
But there's apparently finally some developments with ActivityPub and connecting
Yeah.
all of them. So why don't you explain what's happening? Because
Yeah.
I might have to change.
So this will probably be a wider episode later on
Okay.
because we're sort of working on like what do these protocols mean? What is the Fediverse? What is ActivityPub? Like there's all these acronyms and weird
It's a
names.
universe of cheese.
Yeah.
That's what I've been thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Federation. Okay. So Threads is one of the platforms that is starting to adopt ActivityPub, which is this open standard published by the W3C, which is the World Wide Web Consortium, because we love standards groups. I
Acronyms, baby.
love standards groups. And effectively what ActivityPub is you can kind of think of it sort of similarly to email. It's like I could send a message on Gmail. I could send a message through Outlook. But because it's a open platform or an open
Protocol?
Protocol. Thank you. Mm-hmm. You're going to receive that the same way no matter what platform you're on. So if I'm on Threads, which is now federating, it means they're using ActivityPub. There's a lot of words that
I'm
are
following.
confusing.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
I
like
can't wait for the
RSS.
bigger
Yeah.
episode.
Okay.
The bigger episode's going to help
I need it
everyone
so bad.
understand this a little bit easier. Basically, if you post something on Threads, if I post something on Threads and you on Mastodon are following my Threads account through Mastodon, which you can now do, you will see my Threads posts on Mastodon. And there's a lot of benefits to this. It allows you to choose like what platform you want to use, so you don't have to hop back and forth between all these different platforms all the time. This is a very big move overall because Threads has like 100 million users, which is crazy. I think over 100 million users.
Yeah, they blasted past 100 million.
Blasted past in the first like couple months.
Yeah.
And the thing about ActivityPub is theoretically the more platforms that start to support it, the more interoperable they become, the more incentive there is for these closed services like X to support ActivityPub. Because there's all this thing about the stickiness of an application, right? And there's these social graphs. And if your social graph is on an ActivityPub enabled platform that allows you to see their posts on whatever platform you're using instead of only being able to see their stuff on like X or a closed source platform, you're going to be more incentivized to federate.
I think that's probably usually true, but in the case of X, formerly Twitter, where they're already one of the top 10 biggest websites in the world, they might not feel that pressure.
Are they?
Yeah.
X is?
By like hits, yeah.
Really?
It's just when you're that big already as far as social
Yeah,
networks.
as a social media platform for sure. But the thing is, you could think of like Mastodon plus Threads as one social media platform now, right? And so the more social media platforms that people are using like every now and then that federate kind of add to this glorb that becomes the omega social media
It
platform.
raises the floor. Because if you were to start like a brand new social network today, you would definitely want to be federated. You'd want to have all of the interoperability, because otherwise there's no one
one's
there
gonna
and no
join.
activity.
Yeah.
So if you're way down at the beginning, you definitely want to raise the floor to include that.
Right.
But once there is all the competition of, okay, mine's different because it has these features, mine's different because it has this UI or these rules or whatever, then once yours maybe starts to take off, that's not as important. And if you never were in the first place and you're sitting over here and you've got this whole,
social
all these
graph.
features, maybe there isn't as much incentive. It's an interesting dynamic, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I think that like platforms like X that are not planning on federating don't have incentive to add activity pub support until a time in which they become the non-dominant social platform.
Yeah, until it's necessary for them, essentially.
Yeah, right. So anyway, Meta has been talking about adding activity pub support for a long time, which feels weird and interesting because, you know, Mark
they're big.
Zuckerberg, like
And they don't have it and they don't need it.
they don't, they're a big platform already. They don't necessarily need to. There's a lot of reasons why that makes sense from a business perspective that Mark Zuckerberg has kind of figured out. I think he's kind of the king of making it seem like they're doing things that are just like good for the open web, but actually have like a really, really good business incentive behind it.
I always say companies this size, anytime they make a public decision, there's always the reason they tell you and the real reason.
Exactly.
And this is probably one of those.
Yeah. So anyway, Threads just opened the Fediverse beta in the US, Canada, and Japan, which basically means if you turn this on in your settings, people on Mastodon or other federated ActivityPub enabled platforms can follow your Threads account. So you on Mastodon can follow David Amell at threads.net. And when I post something on Threads, you'll see it on Mastodon.
Can it go the other way around now if you have that enabled?
Yeah.
So on Threads, you can follow people on Mastodon or other activity
Not
pub?
yet.
Okay,
I
so
don't
this is right now the beta is just making it available on there, but their UI or whatever doesn't have the capabilities yet.
It's like super beta because like
Okay.
ultimately what they want to be able to happen is that when people comment on Mastodon, I'll also be able to see those comments on Threads, right? But right now, the amount of beta that it is right now is like when I post things on Threads, people can see those on Mastodon and they can like and comment them on Mastodon,
And they show up in Threads.
but they don't show up in Threads. They will eventually, but currently no.
When this is fully fleshed out, what does this look like? This is, let's say, Mastodon, Blue Sky, and Threads are all federated, and this is fully fleshed out.
So Blue Sky uses a different protocol called the app protocol. And I
Okay,
don't-
throw out Blue Sky.
Yeah, throw out Blue Sky.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So fast forward. I'm sorry,
guys.
This is our. It's gonna be. I think my point is this is confusing, but I want to
Yes,
understand. So they're
is.
fully federated and they are fully all plugged in the way they're supposed to. What does that look like?
Okay, so perfect scenario. I have a threads.net account. I don't necessarily need a Mastodon account, but they both use ActivityPub. So I'm posting on my Threads account, David Amell at threads.net. You on Mastodon are like, oh, David doesn't have a Mastodon account, but I see he has a Threads account. I can follow his Threads account. So you follow me on Mastodon because that's your primary application of choice that you like to use. I'm posting on Threads. You see my posts. You can comment, like, I can see your comments and likes on Threads. So it kind of just feels all like one giant native social application.
Oh, wait, I have a question.
Yeah, has many questions.
Doesn't Mastodon have like a lot of different servers though? So wouldn't you as a Threads user need to be in the No?
No, because
Well, I'm assuming if you're following them, then you're like, I don't use Mastodon, but I thought the servers was just like ways that you can find people or like timelines,
I thought it was
right?
like a walled garden. Like
No.
there were.
So you can think of different Mastodon servers that you join as like the at threads.net. It's where you're being hosted, right?
Right.
And so those different Mastodon servers can have different moderation tools. They can have different, like all these different things. But the content stream, the reason it's called Activity Pub, it's because your activity is being published. That activity could be a like, it could be a reblog, it could
on
be
the
a
blockchain,
comment.
right? Is this
If only.
also is like, maybe this isn't a fair analogy, but like with RSS and like podcasts,
It
where
is a fair
essentially
analogy.
like
Yeah.
Perfect analogy.
I think like
analogy.
this is the one thing I feel like I kind of understand is the perfect scenario aspect of it, where essentially people are posting on a social media platform and then you just get to pick how you want to interact with that. So like I listen to podcasts on Spotify. If you use I already forgot all of the like Pocket Casts,
Google Podcasts.
Yeah.
Pocket
yeah,
Casts.
Pocket
Yeah,
Casts,
yeah,
like
yeah.
pretty much that. It's like
Rest
we're
in
all
peace,
looking
Google
at
Podcasts.
we're all looking at the same information, but we're looking at it in different ways to things that just fit us better.
Which is why some of my questions might not have perfect answers. Like if someone has a Mastodon account and logs in and sees my Threads activity and follows my Threads account, does that follower get added to my Threads profile? Because right now that's not how podcasts work.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't know if there's going to be an answer right away.
Yeah,
But like if I follow you in Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts has no idea.
Right.
And then if some activity that I post on Threads shows up on your Mastodon timeline and you engage with it, that shows up to people who don't have a Mastodon account. They're just on the Threads app. And then they reply to you. Does that allow them to follow or see your Mastodon activity in Threads?
I think it will once it's fully built out.
Okay.
Yeah. It's going to be like
Interesting.
one giant social network in a way.
So this kind of already exists with apps that are already federated. So for example, like Instagram, there's this app called PixelFed, where if you post a picture on PixelFed and I'm following that account on my Mastodon, the picture will just show up on my Mastodon feed.
Yeah.
And then if I like it, you will see that like across the platforms.
Yeah. So the ActivityPub protocol standardizes a bunch of different social actions.
Yeah.
So that you can still have like tailored apps that are like PixelFed that are more Instagram-like, that are focused around Instagram. And if I go to PixelFed, I only really see photos. But if I'm on Threads, I can follow that PixelFed account, so I can just see your photos mixed with the other stuff I'm.
That's interesting. So the reason to be on a different version of this giant social mesh would be to tailor different features or content to your liking.
In a way,
Exactly.
in a way, it's almost like when we had like Falcon and like all the different Twitter clients, because it was just a different way to experience Twitter.
But sure, yeah.
Because this way
Yeah.
you can get a different user interface, you can get different features, but you can also sort of follow different people's different styles of content through an RSS style thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how everyone's like, wow, Instagram today is just videos, it's all reels. Remember when it was just pictures? You could jump on the one that's
could
just
make
like,
an
we
app
only
that's-
show the pictures.
Right. So instead of everyone having to, because think about, this is a great example. Think about it this way. The amount of new apps that come out that are like, we're going to be the new Instagram, we're focusing around just photos, or even there's like ones that are coming out now that are like just film photography. And I'm like, how are you going to get a user base that is
Yeah.
sustainable enough if you're being that niche? But if you're federated, suddenly it doesn't matter. Like you don't have to get people to sign up for a new app. You can just like follow, you can just have an app that specifically only feeds you that content. So it's cool. I think it's a cool.
It all sounds really cool. There's some points of this when we're explaining it that sounds so much like a VC pitch of like, what if you could do this thing on Instagram, but over here, and then the things you like in this app, you can do them here, and like everything you like all in one.
Yeah.
Promise it'll work.
The difference is this is open source.
Yeah.
I
So
know
you would
that's
have to
what's
get
but-
everyone to
but
think
that's
that
what's
way.
funny about it is that like it feels like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
you-
all interesting, but
Have you guys ever heard of Active Worlds?
no.
No.
It was like this weird social network doesn't really describe it. It's like sort of similar to Second Life.
I was gonna
if you
say
know
it
what that
sounds
is.
like Second
But it
Life.
was sort of intended to be somewhere in between like a web browser and a message board, but in the style of a Second Life style game. And it feels very much like this. Like the whole idea is that there would be all of these like community moderated servers or worlds. And then on there, people would like stick images on the wall
So
that
an
if you,
online town square.
but yeah, if I don't know what that is. Bro, oh my god.
Digital Town Square.
I was like, I've never heard of that product. No, but so you'd go and you'd like click on it and it would open a web page or like a browser,
Okay.
or you'd like post messages like that. And it was sort of like all of
kinda
these.
cool.
It was really cool. And like all the worlds had like very different rules and flavors and like moderation policies. And it feels sort of like a version of that where you don't need to full on enter the matrix.
Yeah.
It does.
I
feel
mean,
like the
Mastodon
Matrix.
is kind of like that in a way.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same idea.
But yeah, anyway, I think it's like it's just the more apps that you can get federated, the more people are gonna like smaller niche apps like Instagram but only photos are going to be incentivized to make something that is federated because people can just tap into it directly instead of having to grow a user base that's going to be super freaking hard to
It's really interesting that Threads is federated, but Instagram feels like it never would be,
Yeah, I don't think Instagram is ever going to federate.
which is fascinating.
Yeah, they make too much money being TikTok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
So,
Well, speaking of totally different worlds, two very different developer conferences invites went out. You
Yeah.
like that? That was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I feel like.
yeah.
6 out of 10.
Google, Google and Apple both announced their developer conference dates this summer. Google I/O and Worldwide Developer Conference being Apple's. We expect very different things at each of these, and I guess,
But
some
also
of them-
not really.
Do we?
Well, we expect similar things in different styles.
Yeah.
We expect AI from both of them.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but Jaws tweeted it's going to be absolutely incredible.
With both of those words
With
capitalized.
A in absolutely and I in incredible. Capital. He thinks we're 12. So, yeah, AI probably. We all got that. Yeah. But I think, we all kind of been waiting for this AI thing from Apple for forever. And it's this, the invite is the Siri colors. And like we've been hearing all these murmurings about, ChatGPT and OpenAI, but also Gemini and Google. And like, what is Apple actually going to do with AI on the iPhone? Even lately, I've seen, I've had just random mentions of AI from Apple where they're like, oh yeah, we've been an AI company the whole time. Like we've had the most advanced neural engine on our Apple Silicon chips for years now. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you could just start saying that now. You're not wrong, but you haven't been saying it like that until just recently.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting.
I would argue they are wrong.
You could silo in an argument where they're like technically right, but also
My
they've not
argument
been
is
saying it
that
way.
an incredible amount of things that people are branding as AI now were just machine learning that has been happening for a very long time.
And it's funny because Apple never says AI.
Right.
And I made a whole video about how Apple never says AI. And then just recently they started being like, that's us, AI, for
No,
sure.
we said it. Yeah, we've been doing it.
I know we say machine learning and neural engine and all that stuff, but like, are they just going to suddenly say AI 1,000 times on stage this year at Dub?
I think they just wait a really long time to make sure that something is actually like a new category is actually sticking before they associate themselves with it.
Every feature in the iPhone, pretty much. It's like all of the new features have been out already, and then they just like waited till it was definitely popular, polished the hell out of it, and popped it out.
Yeah.
Popular or like offered real utility to their customers, because I think there are plenty of things that you could argue were way early in other phones but didn't really offer utility, and then it took extra years for people to figure out, oh, this is actually good for people.
Yeah.
And there's so many little examples of
I'm very, very interested in what besides like better Siri, like a fully revamped like transformer based Siri, which I really hope exists, they're going to add, because I really don't think they're going to do like AI wallpapers and all of that kind of stuff.
Right. There's lots of those little things that others have done first that aren't necessarily that useful, like AI wallpapers. But then there are some things that I think are obvious wins, like, well, they've already done the keyboard. They've already done slightly better autocorrect in the keyboard.
By the way, I feel like has made the keyboard worse.
I actually haven't noticed anything different.
For me, it feels like the auto suggestions and autocorrect have just gotten way worse.
If I'm not typing a word that's like a commonly used, like this morning I was trying to type the word Atreides and my phone just like was not.
That's not the phone's fault.
It's from Dune. It's a Dune thing. Okay.
I don't think any keyboard would naturally get that
Well,
one.
no. It's not like it was trying to like it's not like I would finish the word correctly and then it would do it, like because it does the predictive what letter's coming next. Yeah. So if it really struggles to know, like it's almost the touchscreen is useless, especially on my little tiny mini phone.
Yeah.
True.
Atreides, that is not a weird
I'm
thing
just saying
That's just slightly above frittata for me.
just
Slightly above it. I just don't think I would know how to spell it.
Yeah, but also like transformers are trained on the commonality of how often words are used around other words.
It's in the most popular movie right now.
right now.
Andrew, help me out.
I was gonna make a joke. Who in here has seen Dune?
I still haven't seen either of them.
No, I haven't seen it.
No one besides Ellis has seen Dune in here.
Wow.
Adam's seen Dune 1.
Dune 1.
Oh, was Atreus in it?
Atreides, yes. But my argument is that they're fictional names and characters and places.
Absolutely.
So, like,
They're not
you can't expect people to
common.
know.
People are typing them into their iPhones.
Yeah, but that's not how this is trained.
It's not?
It's
No.
not real time.
It's trained on like an existing data set of common words.
Really?
Yeah. They're like
It's probably up to like 2022 or something.
yeah, and also other people. So there is a mechanism in the new iOS 17 keyboard that learns based on the way that you type.
Right.
But it doesn't learn based on the way that other iPhone users
So
type.
does this mean I'm a fake fan?
You just have to start
Of what?
typing that.
Yeah, you just have to
Dune,
type it a
because
lot.
I'm clearly not typing Atreides.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta type.
Well, no,
it
that's
more.
a great point, actually, though, because I feel like that's Apple's whole problem thus far. Is that they don't have that giant data set of
Which
all their users.
is why
Yes.
they're probably going to use Gemini. That's the whole argument. They don't like their whole thing is security, and we don't scrape your data, and we don't scrape other people's data and give it to other people. And with large language models, they're kind of boned.
Yeah, I want to paint this. I want to paint this as clearly as possible. In order to have a really, and I've phrased this many different ways, but in order to have the smartest possible, most useful AI, like think of a real human assistant who's going to help you out. In order for that person to be the most helpful for you, they need to know everything about you, right? If they're going to start scheduling your flights, they need to know, do you like window seats? Do you usually fly out of this airport? Do you like United or Delta? They need to know everything about you. And so if you're knowing everything about someone, you have a lot of data on them and minimal privacy. But Apple's whole stance and their whole policy is to keep as little data as possible, none if they can help it, and to know nothing about you and to keep everything private as much as possible.
Yeah.
Which is great and very noble and super. It's a big reason why a lot of people like the iPhone. But now that means they, by definition, I think, cannot build the most helpful assistant that knows everything about you.
Yeah.
And so how does Apple get around this? Like Google's out here knowing everything about you and giving you all the information you could possibly want.
peeking
before
in your
you even
blinds.
know. Yeah, before you even know you want that. It's like, I know you're about to wake up, so I'm going to start helping you out with the thing you're going to eat for breakfast. Like it knows you super well.
Yeah.
And so they're able to offer all this helpful stuff, which people like. Do they partner? Do they compromise on that policy that they have to let Google in the door to collect or to at least use the data they already have? Maybe they don't collect on the iPhone, but to use the
Which
data
is
they
what I
already
think they're
have.
going to do.
Exactly, yeah.
Google has collected so much data over
Yeah.
time, and I think Apple's just going to be like, we're going to use that.
And is that data a one-to-one match of what they need, or do iPhone users maybe use their phones slightly differently than all the other users they already have? I don't know if that's going to come up.
It seems more focused around large language models, I would guess.
Yeah.
And like natural language processing. So they'll probably use it for Siri. Mm-hmm. I don't really see them using it for a lot of other stuff, which is why I'm actually very curious. Because if this whole WWDC is supposed to be focused around AI, I imagine they're going to, like, for multiple of their products, say we added some sort of AI to this.
Mm-hmm.
But what else besides Siri could they add AI to that would make like a large tangible difference?
Reminders.
I was gonna say the rumor did say like iOS 18, right? Features, so it was plural. So there are potentially many different things in there that it could be added to. I guess like
And when Jaws says absolutely incredible, it assumes that that's going to be like the theme of the.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there'll probably be plenty of. I'm super interested in both of these happening and there being a connection. Are they going to talk about each other during their conference? Like
shots?
Apple has to talk about Google.
No.
Really? You think they're just going
I
to?
don't think they're gonna-
Or do you think they just say Gemini?
I don't think they're even going to say.
You don't think they're going to say Gemini at all?
I would say that's probably part of the deal is that they don't have to mention Google at all.
It would be really
That would be
impressive
so
if they
funny.
never mentioned Google.
I want
if they
this to-
literally
okay,
partner
This
with
is
Google.
going to be a waveform bet.
No. Well, before we get to it though, did they mention when Google became the default search in Safari? Did they talk about
That
that,
was
at all?
so long ago.
Was it ever
There
not
was-
the default search? I think they immediately.
I think it was
was like
pretty immediate.
instant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that was like back in 2008.
okay.
Yeah. When the
They're a very
alternative
different
was like
company now.
almost not worth mentioning.
When they
Yeah.
Apple announced RCS, was that in an event or just that they
No,
were? That was
was
later.
a press release.
Press release thing.
It was. I don't think it was even a press release. I think it just went out in.
Yeah, they seeded it. They
seeded
seeded a quote to a journal. Yeah, it wasn't even a press release. I think it would be really interesting. I know that these companies look like they copy each other's features a lot. So when I'm trying to predict what they're going to do, I'm literally looking at what's just happened with the past couple of Google events and even Samsung. Like circle to search. It's kind of an interesting feature, right? Something's on my screen. I want to just like quickly search that thing online and bring useful results. That could be interesting. Or maybe iMessage, you start planning a trip in a group chat. Maybe this little assistant Clippy bot comes down and starts helping you plan the trip. It doesn't have to be Clippy because it's Apple, not Microsoft. But I'm looking at other
Craig.
parallel feature. Yeah, just Craig's head floats down. It looks like you're trying to plan. Yeah, that's my thought process for trying to figure out what other than Siri Apple could be doing with AI.
Yeah. I mean, considering they update pretty much every OS for all of their devices, hopefully we're going to see something coming to like the watch and
iPad.
HomePod.
Well, that was going to
TV
be
remote.
my question, because remember Google, they announced Gemini with like 3 different versions. I forget
Yeah.
which one was supposed to be on the phone. Pico or something
Nano.
like that? Nano, thank you. Apple has watches. They have earbuds. Like there's so many other things, computers.
Yeah.
What is it going to be? Like, is it just plugged into?
I would say Gemini Nano gets put on the Apple Watch.
on the watch. See, I was
Yeah.
going to say Nano gets put on the phone or something
Yeah.
similar to it. You know, like.
probably.
But then what
Streams
goes on the watch? If there's multiple features coming to multiple devices, I just don't see it being a one-to-one fix to like other things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
Well,
curious.
there's also so there's the distinction between like local AI and cloud-based AI as well.
Yeah. The local stuff is the best experience. Usually it's the fastest. Like the live translations, if you just download the language model or whatever, and you can do live translations on the device, that's usually awesome.
Yeah.
Which and Apple was pretty. Last WWDC, they mentioned a lot of local learning, like being incorporated to so many different things. So
Yeah.
is this like an aspect of they're going to keep the local stuff themselves and
I
then
think so.
outsource the kind of?
I actually
cloud?
believe that the rumor, when we talked about this, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe this happened, the rumor was specifically that Apple was outsourcing it to Google for the cloud-based AI stuff.
I forget if it was that, but I remember the article very much feeling like Gemini wasn't taking over all of AI.
Yeah,
that it was
definitely not.
features and that this is going to be kind of split. In
I think
some
it's mostly going to
sense.
be for the cloud stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, could be interesting. And then, of course, Google I/O, which...
Can we make the bet first?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Do we think they mention Google or Gemini?
Do we think that the word Google is said on stage?
Or Gemini.
Google or Gemini, or do we think like
I don't think they say either.
you don't think either? What do you think?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think if we really think they're partnering and using, I don't think they actually will be partnering. So I'm going to go with no.
You don't
But
think you think that the rumor is false?
I think, yeah.
Really?
Really?
I think they're going to try to do as much on device as possible, and that's going to be the hill that they die on. And they're going to want to, over time, be able to bring more and more things on device, but they might just take a stance against going to the cloud for these slow experiences.
all?
Because Siri's bad.
Yeah.
Like that's people. I mean, I don't know if they know how bad Siri is, but
Yeah.
I think that that's more likely that they just try to keep everything local and on device so that they don't send your information somewhere, and hopefully that doesn't get breached.
Well,
So-
but you can incorporate Gemini into things where Gemini is pulling from all the other sources it's learning from, but Apple doesn't have to put your stuff into it, right?
Yeah, I don't think that Apple will use a local Gemini model. I think they'll only use Gemini for cloud-based AI that they need the cloud for.
I think if they do use Gemini, then they've got to say it at least once.
I don't think they're going to say it at all.
Okay, let's assume that they will use Gemini.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that they will say the name.
I'm going to say they're not going to say that.
I'm gonna say they're gonna say Google and Gemini.
I don't think they're going to say either.
I'm saying it as I think it'll be funny if they do, and I'm going to say screw it. Let's. I think they're going.
Okay, I like this bet.
That's a good bet.
Okay.
That's a good bet.
Okay.
But
Speaking
yeah,
of Google,
Also, we're just gonna skip Vision OS because that's a whole nother thing. Is like we expect Vision Pro updates probably
Yeah.
at WWDC.
yeah.
But we don't know what they will be.
I was actually thinking about that last week. It was like, it's kind of exciting that now we get these whole big updates for the Vision Pro as well.
Yeah.
But that's kind of cool. Like, because usually they introduce iPhone features that we didn't even think of, and we're like, that makes a lot of sense. That's really dope.
Yeah.
And is that going to happen for Vision Pro, or they're probably just going to introduce the things that people have been complaining about,
I would.
Which would be nice.
which would be nice.
My guess is at WWDC we're going to see a lot of, especially this first time around. It's only been out for a few months. It's going to be like a bunch of different programs that helps developers create inside of it better, where us three won't have any idea what any of that really means.
They'll definitely highlight like how many apps have come out for it since launch and things like that, and some of the highlights and the best apps. And personas are out of beta now, or they're version 1.1 or something, and they're better than last time. Stuff like that. Yeah,
I think it'll be a minor Vision OS thing.
You think
Fair.
so?
I think so.
think
I mean,
it
minor
hasn't been
minor to
very
us,
long.
minor to the consumer.
Yeah.
I'm sure developers there'll be.
It'll
a bunch of
only
cool
have been out for 4 months by the
Exactly.
time WWDC happens, so
Yeah.
it's fair. But
but add that to the list of like 19 OSs that they've got to update.
yeah, exactly.
tvOS, Vision OS, iOS, Mac OS, etc.
Right, watch
But
it.
okay, Google I/O.
Google
We've seen endless leaks of possible Pixel. What is it, 8A?
8A, yeah.
And we, I think, expect that to finally be unveiled at least. And then
I still wish they would just drop it with the mainline phones
and be on the same number.
yeah,
nothing's stopping them.
yeah. Nothing is stopping.
Google's
Just
stopping.
saying, just themselves.
Because they make a $350 phone and Google's is $500 now.
Yeah, they don't want to. Maybe they
Got
just
'em.
want to overshadow their more expensive phones. Who would buy a $900 Pixel if the $350 Pixel came out the same day?
Yeah, and we were also talking about how the 8A is basically the 8.
Yeah.
So
I guess they have to stagger it. Never mind. I get it. All right. fine.
They could.
yeah,
do it.
it's like a
They could do
mid-cycle
it.
refresh in a way, or like a mid-cycle like, hey,
Yeah.
you can buy this slightly cut down one.
I guess we're expecting though updates on Gemini on the phone versus Assistant on the phone. Because
I
at
would
this
like-
very moment in time, it's not clear why people should be moving from one to the other.
I do have a potential theory, and it might be too early for this.
Okay.
But we can probably assume that the eventual plan is to either deprecate Assistant or deprecate Gemini and eventually merge them into one. Or actually, probably what's going to happen is because right now, Gemini, the official naming is like Google Gemini powered by Gemini Ultra 1.5 or something like that. And I think they're doing that very intentionally so that they can like get recognition for the model so that later they can say Google Assistant is now powered by Gemini Ultra 2.4. So it's still the model. So I imagine, and this is just a theory, that maybe at this Google I/O they'll announce they're working on merging them so that everything is just Google Assistant again.
I thought you were going to say the more Google thing of kill both of them and make a
Part
new one.
2.0.
That, yeah.
It's called Google Messenger.
It's called Hangouts.
I do hope we see something though that's not this make the decision between Assistant on your phone or Gemini on your
Yeah.
phone. That's absurd. It feels like.
They need to mix them. They're eventually, I assume, going to mix them, but I just would like that to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's honestly the biggest update I'm expecting.
Yeah.
And then obviously Android updates as well in general. But
Yeah.
very different style.
Yeah.
So similar question before, assuming Gemini is going to the iPhone, does Google talk about Apple
No.
Just Google.
and how they're going to be powering things on the iPhone?
Maybe.
As like
Which
a
is also
brag
funny
point?
because it's earlier than WWDC.
Oh, so they
yeah,
can't.
so they couldn't.
They can't.
They can't.
They wouldn't
No.
be able
You don't
to.
think so?
I don't think Apple would.
Because it would, yeah. Because Apple hasn't announced anything AI related.
Imagine Sundar on stage like, by the way, we're going to power whatever Apple's coming out with in the next month. Trust
They
me.
might say something like, we've established some leading industry partners that are gonna be exciting in the
They'll be
coming
cryptic
year.
about that for
yeah.
sure.
I do think it's harder, but they have announced things before, like with Samsung, before Samsung's announced things, right? At I/O.
But
I
Samsung
know
is
it's
like-
different.
Samsung
I know.
also
I'm just saying
announced
it's not
Google things
that
before
wild of an
announced
idea.
them.
Interesting. Yeah. No, they'll be. I'm sure they'll announce some feature stuff that we don't
hope.
see coming.
I hope they do. I hope they say something about working with Apple.
Here's the
Before
bet.
Apple?
I would love this bet.
Here's another
Who will
bet.
say AI more on stage, and
Google.
why is it Google?
Google.
Because
Google.
they will say it.
Google's taking what they did
Endlessly.
last year and they're amping it up. Wait,
Someone's-
actually, here's the bet. Will Google say AI more or less times than last I/O?
Yeah, what's the over under?
Yeah, what is last I/O? Do we
Really,
know?
like
really
150
high.
or something.
Oh, let me just find that out real quick, Andrew.
Oh no.
I'm waiting.
Someone's got to do a supercut. Someone's got to get.
There is
the
a supercut.
Get the supercut machine ready, because we got to use that to count how many times they
Ask
say.
It was
we-
137
Yeah, I was gonna say we could throw that
I
into
was
Descript.
close. I
What'd you
said
say?
150.
Dang.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
137.
Yeah.
Over under 150.
It's gonna be
150 and a
hard to
half.
say it more.
Over.
You remember
Over?
that last presentation, right? They literally were saying it nonstop. It's like every sentence. I'm going under because I think they'll say more different types of buzzwords like models and large language and stuff like that.
They're going to say multimodal like 8 times as many times as they did last time.
Yeah.
They need to flex what's different about Gemini versus the other models. And unless GPT-5 comes out, which I'm assuming is going to be multimodal, unless that comes out before I.O., they're going to flex the hell out of it.
So
If I
what's your
was them-
over-under?
Over 137?
150.
I'm under. I would say if Google wants to flex, they should pretend to just move on from AI. They should be like,
I agree.
Other companies
don't even
are
think
just
about
now
it.
getting to AI. We're on to SAI, super advanced AI.
God.
Here we are, branding
Super
it for
smart
ourselves.
AI.
Smart AI.
Yeah.
AI type R.
Do you think? Oh my god! Do you think if Apple at DubDub mentions Google, they'll say "gift from Google"?
Do you think the audience will boo if they mention Google?
That'd be so funny.
If we're there, we'll boo.
Okay, so I'm going under because I do think that eventually the terminology AI is gonna just get tired, and it's gonna be the same as machine learning, big data, Internet of Things. It's the same with all of these buzzwords. Like everyone uses them for a while so that the stock price goes up, and then eventually, when it's the industry norm, people just stop talking.
Yeah, but
about
we're in the
it.
thick of it now.
I feel like we're in the thick of it.
We're in the thick of it, but I also think last year was thicker.
I would argue this year's there's more going on.
I think
it's
if
more in the
Apple-
public knowledge at least than last year.
Apple says it's so little that if this is the first year they say AI 100 times on stage, everyone's ship's lifted from that if
Yeah.
you're in the AI boat, which is why Google has the chance to like separate themselves again and be like, we're beyond AI. We're even better. We're in the galaxy
Speaking of
things. Speaking of galaxy.
Galaxy,
I'm going over. I think
Okay,
that
thank
happens.
you. Oh, sorry.
I agree with both of you. That goes next year.
I'm saying
Continue
under.
segue.
I'm going to say under.
All right.
Okay,
Uh,
Ellis.
I'm gonna take the over.
Really?
Yes.
I think they're going to start on pace to be over because Sundar is going to open with a monologue about AI.
If I run on stage and yell AI a bunch of times, does that count?
Yes. It's if
you make it.
They will have to use it like more than once a minute every minute of I/O.
Which they
IO's
And
2
I-
hours.
exactly, which is
So-
120
Oh, good point.
minutes.
But they easily, they did that last year.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm taking the dude every 20 seconds for 2 hours if they hit the.
I think there's a chance they
180.
go
they-
back and watch some of the early minutes of last year's IO. It is far greater than every 2
Yeah.
minutes.
If they partner with that audio company, does that does that count? Do we get 3 there?
I'm almost expecting some sort of meme about it at some point where they just go AI, 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 like just as like,
like
a
the Whopper
joke.
song.
Yeah.
Whopper, chicken Whopper. Yeah, I don't know if Google would meme it, but I'm going under.
All right.
All right, now
All right.
use that beautiful segue.
Speaking
again.
of,
Speaking of the Galaxy, no, I just want to mention the some of those Galaxy AI features that were on the Galaxy S24 that we were like, wow, thanks to the new Snapdragon chip, they can do this circle to search really fast and they can do all this stuff. Yeah, it's on the S23 now.
yeah, it's also not thanks to the Snapdragon chip because it's on the Pixel as well.
Yeah. So
Doc.
that whole exclusive thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year, it's always like only on
The newest.
the
phone.
newest Snapdragon can we enable this, and then 2 months later, they're like, we figured out a way to do it on the oldest. Wow,
Who could have thought?
huge breakthrough. Totally not planned obsolescence.
Okay, wait. So I have a question about that. Do you think it's a hardware thing where they're physically holding back hardware like chips exclusively for like 2 months? Or is it like a software thing?
it's completely
device.
software.
It's to give you a reason to buy the new
buy the new
device.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in
Thing.
theory, then, if you were to get a new device that has that chip, could you just enable it yourself?
But it's not even about the chip. That's the thing.
What do you
Yeah, I
mean?
don't think it's even.
It's always about the
Samsung-
chip, but it's never about the chip.
It's we have a new device here and there's very little new. So we're going to take some of these software features and lock them to the new device so that when this launches, it looks like a more impressive Delta. And then 3 or 4 weeks or maybe a month or 2 later, we go, all right, sales spike is over. All
Yeah,
right, you guys
exactly.
can have it too. This is actually something we could put on all of our devices.
So it's just a software release.
It's a lie.
Which, to be fair, I'm grateful that they put it on the older devices. They don't have to. Obviously, they're taking
That's
the
true.
time to support older
you're-
devices, so I'm happy about that.
They're going to do it anyway because hardware on phones isn't giving you the big new feature that you want to upgrade your phone for. Software is. So, like, they're going to lock it one way or another. I guess we should be
Yeah.
maybe not happy,
Be
but
grateful.
I'm glad that, be grateful.
Daddy
Samsung. You know what I mean, though? Like, they
yeah.
don't have to do it, and they will lock it to make you buy new phones.
The sales graph is like release. 3 months later, we're here, and they're like, all right.
You
Now
can
we can
throw them a bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the funny thing about that is they never actually said it was going to stay free. They said it was free until at least 2025
For what feature?
for all the Galaxy AI features.
No way.
Yeah, in the fine print, it says free until at least 2025.
You think they're gonna?
I
That's
don't
literally
know.
the reason I have not been using the AI features on my phone.
Do you have
because
to
I
turn
don't
it?
want
Do you have to
love
turn
them.
it on?
No, they're just there.
Oh, they're there. Yeah.
Right. The way Adam does things is he doesn't use things that he doesn't want to later want to use if he switches devices. So when he's on an iPhone, he doesn't use iMessage.
Which I can't tell if that's really healthy or really unhealthy.
I think it's healthy. I think it's kind of smart.
I need cross-platform connectivity
Yeah, yeah.
for everything.
We
Everything.
iMessage.
Yeah, but I turned it off eventually.
Yeah.
I turned it on every once in a while, see what it's like, dip my toe in, and then just turn it off
It's a
again
bad.
and disappoint everyone.
You don't
in my
want to dip
family.
your toe in.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
But also, you're missing out on a lot. Circle search is pretty sick.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Dang.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay for that, so I'm just not going to use it.
Would they charge for that?
So, okay, my theory is that.
Get you hooked, man.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. My theory is that they are testing the waters to see how much people actually use these AI features. And if it starts being a lot, that means it's going to cost them a lot of inference costs to Google or OpenAI or whoever they're using as their backend because they have to pay on like a per use basis.
Per query,
query. And so if it ends up costing a lot of money, they'll probably start charging, and they have a huge user base. They have the option to start charging people. That's why they said free until at least 2025. They're like, we're gonna wait and see, but this does cost a lot of money, so let's figure it out.
Would it be fair to say that we don't know how much something like this would cost, like, period? Like, every single person constantly pinging data centers and running transformer models? and,
OpenAI has they have transparent costs for queries and stuff.
For like different types of queries.
But like
Yeah.
at a like mass adoption scale, like could that have the potential to actually like cost billions of dollars
Yeah.
and not be sustainable
Yes.
at all?
Correct.
No further questions.
That's sort of the trade-off you have to make is like you could train your own models, but training your own models costs hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. So instead you just lease models from other people. So that's sort of the trade-off is like if you don't have a lot of users, you might as well just lease because it's not going to cost you that much, but the users you do have are going to be very happy. But if you hit a critical mass where you have so many people that leasing those models is costing you so much money, you might as well just put the money in now to train your own model. So
But I meant like operating the models too, like operating the data centers.
Oh yeah,
and,
no, that
yeah.
costs a crap load of money.
That's what's
Right.
expensive.
For sure.
More on that coming up in June.
When?
AI stuff.
Well, May, isn't it?
May for IO.
Yeah, IO's
Sorry,
in
May
May.
for IO.
Oh, it's May.
Yeah.
And
May
then
14th.
IO is June, right? Okay.
No, IO is May.
Or, sorry, IO is May. Dub is June.
And Zendaya is Michi.
That's
And we should take a break
was
before
thinking it.
this goes completely off the rails. Let's do trivia.
I was thinking it. I'm glad you said it.
Okay, so we'll do the menu thing today. I have a relevant Apple interacts with third-party companies question, or I have a fun classic YouTube question.
Oh, YouTube. Classic
YouTube?
YouTube. Yes, please.
All right.
Can we do the other one after as the second one?
We'll see how the rhythm of the night goes. So, uploaded June 16th, 2009.
I know the answer.
This 4.4 billion view masterpiece is the oldest video on YouTube's all-time top 30 list. What video is it?
Wait, oldest
What?
video
This is
on the top 30.
On the top 30 all-time most views. This is the oldest video on that list. Uploaded June 16th, 2009. It currently has 4.4 billion views.
If you did multiple choice, I guarantee I would get it right. But because it's not, there are too many possible options. But I'm gonna try.
Well, let me say this.
Oh.
This is the only video on the top 30 list uploaded in 2009.
Yeah, none of the me at the zoo didn't get this many views. It's
No.
the,
Oh,
There's-
there was my answer.
That was
There's
my answer too.
there's one.
that one was a couple 100 million.
Shakira's Waka Waka was uploaded in 2010,
Oh, I think I know what it is.
so it's not that one. And then
I didn't even know.
Great song, by the way.
there's another.
Just
There's a
saying.
2011
Incredible
video
song.
that was uploaded by T Series. But
In
this
2011?
in 2011.
I didn't even
good
know
for
that
them.
videos had over 4 billion. I remember when Gangnam Style was the first video to ever get 1 billion.
It was.
Baby Shark has 14 billion.
I was gonna say that.
And that's just one version of it.
Planet Earth. Planet Earth doesn't have that many fucking babies to
How many,
watch that.
how many people? I was gonna say we have like 8 billion people
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
The
And they're
average-
all watching Baby Shark.
God.
Like twice.
Yo, that stat is actually crazy because if you think about it, there are a lot of babies who haven't seen Baby Shark, which means the average number of times each baby who has seen Baby Shark has replayed it is probably
I will say
insane.
that I bet you parents just cycle Baby Shark without watching it just as music on YouTube. It's kind
Which
of like,
is like
do you remember the era before Spotify where the way that people would listen to music was to just watch
Yeah.
YouTube videos?
oh yeah,
Like
that's how they got
music
like
videos?
billions. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how they get repeat views.
Yeah,
for sure.
People didn't really care about the music video; they just wanted to hear the song.
When I got my first iPod Touch that came with the YouTube app, and as soon as it clicked for me, I was like, it's over for the music industry. I'm never
YouTube.
paying again.
The YouTube app was pretty OG.
Yeah.
Even just Baby Shark on Spotify has 685 million plays.
That's way
That's
less than
way
I
less than I
expected.
thought.
But that's only the audio version and not including the probably 20 different ways you can listen to it on YouTube.
There's probably 8,000 remixes of it as well.
Compared to 14 billion, that's nothing.
It is nothing. But
Despacito has 8 billion views, which is kind of funny that like everyone has seen Despacito once.
I've never seen the music
I think
video.
See You Again also has like
I was
7
just going
billion.
to say, how many times have you guys seen the Baby Shark video?
0.
Never watched it.
You've never watched it?
Never
Yeah.
watched it.
I've watched it at least 6 times.
That's the thing. It's either 0 or 6.
Someone
or, like,
played it when
12.
they
just
brought
out
it
of
for your dog?
curiosity. Because I see this list all the time, and I'm like, oh,
I
and
should
then
watch it, just for
click it as the
Someone
meme.
put it on when I
Posterity.
brought Lane in the other day. I
For
think that's
posterity.
the most
Oh
I've seen
yeah,
of it.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
first time I've ever started to watch it.
Don't submit your child.
No, she only listens to Creed.
Thank God. Can you take me?
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll be back with the answers, of course, at the end. See you soon.
Welcome back. I want to sue every company on the planet who publishes news on Thursdays because it means that we don't talk about it.
In our defense, they published this like Thursday afternoon. So even if we recorded on Thursdays, we probably would have missed it.
It was also funny because the bonus episode came out and there were people like 2 episodes now where you haven't talked about the Apple thing.
Like we recorded that a month ago.
Come on. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So anyway.
we're finally going to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. What we missed last week, the Department of Justice has formally sued Apple Inc. over monopolization stuff. And there's a whole big old 88-page court filing that I read that was a little hard to read, but also it was kind of written in like a story way, which was interesting. Like it literally starts off with this. Okay, the way this filing starts off is a
Once
story.
upon a time in a land far,
Kind of.
far away.
Kind of. It's retelling this Amazon Kindle ad about how this person was like using the Kindle app on their iPhone and then grabs an Android phone and continues reading the Kindle app on their Android phone. And there's an email from an Apple person, which stop sending emails that are incriminating, guys. Like just stop doing this. Who says, look at this ad. You can easily switch to reading your Kindle on an Android phone. That's a bad thing. That's a terrible thing. And it's like, why? You know? So they're clearly
walls.
saying we want to create these gates. This is literally how the filing opens to kind of paint this picture of how Apple
That's
is trying
good.
to keep you in their ecosystem.
That's compelling.
Yeah.
Good
So,
story. It's like
it
a
kinda-
music video.
No, it kind of is. Yeah. No,
Okay.
and it tells multiple
Only
stories like
Despacito
this.
started this way.
Yeah. But it centers around Apple building a dominant iPhone ecosystem and intentionally stifling competitors' ability to compete and also locking in users, things we all know that Apple just does. It also complains about shifting restrictions and rules with the App Store. And then also it makes all of these allegories to when they broke up Microsoft. And well, they didn't break up Microsoft, but when they sued Microsoft way back when. And they say that Apple only grew to the behemoth that they are today because of that lawsuit. Effectively, what was happening at the time is Microsoft was making QuickTime not work correctly on Windows computers, which had like 97% of the market at the time. And they had apparently actually intentionally written code into Windows computers that would make QuickTime like break and just not work. Which basically didn't. Yeah.
I feel like I experienced this.
You probably did.
You didn't do Windows Media Player with the cool.
No, I had
Like,
that.
well, you
and
had to, I guess. Yeah.
definitely stared at that for a while. But I think QuickTime was one of the early screen recorders, and it was not good.
Yeah.
On Windows.
And iTunes is like founded in QuickTime. So the way that the Department of Justice painted this was only because we sued Microsoft and forced them to allow Apple to create applications on your platform that work correctly, was Apple able to launch iTunes and therefore launch the iPod, which they say is the whole reason that Apple like grew to the behemoth that they are today. I'm sure that's a reason. I would say the Mac is probably a more like valuable product for them, but the iPod obviously did sort of start a whole thing for them. It allowed them to be a platform, you know.
It definitely did. But could you argue that Mac got more popular because they went after Microsoft and hurt Microsoft in some way,
Yeah,
which had
totally.
such market share? So like,
Yeah.
even still, so the Department of Justice created Apple is what they're getting at.
Yeah, that's what
The
they're
US
saying. Yeah, which is funny. Anyway, there are 5 primary complaints in this document, and I figured that we go through all of them and just kind of discuss like if they're valid or not, because there's a lot of controversial takes in this filing. There's a lot of things that I would say like, I kind of see what you're saying, but I feel like you're reaching in order to just break up Apple, you know?
yeah, I would say like before we get into these,
Yeah.
what would a success look like for the DOJ for suing Apple? Because breaking up Apple doesn't seem
You're not gonna break 'em
possible,
up,
but like, what do they actually want to accomplish here?
I think that, I mean, there's 5 different categories, and I would assume that it's like winning on all 5 of these categories.
And if they win, then they change Apple's behavior in some way.
Yeah, basically changing their behavior, I think is what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Okay. So let's just go through the 5 categories in order.
Okay.
The number 1 category that the Department of Justice says Apple is anti-competitive for is not allowing super apps, which I don't really understand this complaint very much because we just don't really have super apps in the United States.
What is a super app?
So we don't, but in China, there's this
Yes,
app called
WeChat.
WeChat, which is a super app. And the argument is that Apple does things like delay updates to WeChat and things like that make it just more difficult to have that on the App Store.
So WeChat is on the App Store, which is why I find it confusing. A super app, by the way, is like, it's an app that you can do a ton of different things in. So in China, so in China, there's the super app is called WeChat, and you can pay your taxes in WeChat. You can order a taxi in WeChat.
You can make a dentist appointment, and then when you get to
Yeah.
your dentist's office, you sign in,
Pay
you check
with
in
it.
with WeChat, and
Yeah.
then pay with WeChat. And
Yeah, you pay with WeChat. It's like it's everything. And so I think the Department of Justice's reasoning here is if you have a single app that allows you to do anything and it's not about the hardware at all, you could easily move to an Android phone, because as long as you have this app that has all these services on it that are interoperable, depending on like, and it doesn't matter what hardware you're using, then it would be a lot easier for people to move to Android phones.
And they're saying Apple's not allowing that.
Yes, which I don't really understand.
I think it's because even though the app is on the App Store, it's a cut down version of the full mobile app. It doesn't have full functionality. So like I'm looking at the reviews right now in the App Store, and one of the reviews is a 3-star review, and it says, still very annoying to have to use the mobile version to get the full system to work at all.
The mobile
Oh, so like
version.
I'm assuming like mobile in browser version or
Something like that. Like all these
It's not just
different
the app.
Yeah, all these different features that WeChat has built in, you get a sliced down mobile version in Apple's app. Versus if you have an Android phone, you just get the full app and the full experience.
Interesting. Yeah. I would also guess that Apple has a lot of restrictions on what apps are allowed to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it comes
Yeah.
down to.
Something else that Apple has been specifically like trying to block is like having too many microservices within an app, because then they have to review everything that the app can do. Right? Their main complaint around not allowing game streaming services, which they now do, which is strange that the game streaming thing is a complaint because they now allow game streaming services. Their main reason that they didn't allow game streaming services for a long period of time is because they were saying, we'd have to review every single game that's on the service to make sure that it's not harmful to the user. And every time there's an update to any of the games on a game streaming service, we'd have to review every single update to every single title on a game streaming service. The Department of Justice says that the reason that they didn't allow that was that you could use any hardware. There's an email from an Apple person that says, here's a problem. If a user goes to a garage sale and pays $5 for an Android phone and everything is cloud-based, they don't need high-end hardware, and then they don't even need an iPhone. That's an issue. We should deal with that.
Yeah. This is coming back again to like, I'm sure with each one of these complaints, Apple has a public facing reason and a real reason.
Right.
And I feel like we're going to hear a lot in the public of what Apple will say is the reason, but we also know that they clearly do not want the walls of the garden to get any smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The juiciest part of this entire thing is going to be discovery, where the Department of Justice gets to go through all of their emails and we get to find out
the real reasons.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So what do you guys think about this super app thing?
I think it's right in line. So the reason that Apple will say is this super app thing, it does too many things, it takes too long to review, and it is not something that we want in our store. But the real reason that's also true is if someone uses all of the features of this super app to do everything and doesn't need anything else about the iPhone, then they can easily switch to another phone.
Right.
So theoretically, that's one of the reasons that they should change and allow super apps. I get it.
Which is kind of like the Federates, just saying.
Whoa.
It is also kind of weird that Apple's like, well, we have to look over all of these different things, and like, come on, that's a lot of stuff. But it's like, you own an insane amount of market share. You have
can't afford
plenty
to
of
look at all
resources.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
it's a little weird to be like, come on, we can't do all. You can't expect us to do all of that. We're just like the number one company.
No, but you can't expect the games stores to even submit all of that. Like on the Xbox cloud gaming thing, it's like there's thousands of titles.
Right.
You know, like how's that process even going to work?
Yeah. In January of this year, Apple actually started allowing game streaming.
Yeah.
So this complaint is kind of moot now. And it's kind of weird that it's in the filing at all, but you know, they probably finished it before January.
Yeah, the government doesn't work quickly.
Yeah.
By any,
Also, Netflix exists. Does someone at Apple sit down and watch every movie?
Well, no, because a movie is not a game.
How's that any different?
Dude, if you want to know what constitutes a game, go watch the Epic versus Apple
No,
trial.
I get
it's
that.
still
I mean,
content that
yeah,
shows
exactly.
up on
It's still
the-
content.
Yeah.
but I think he's saying like, but games can be like more harmful with like microtransactions
Yeah, because think about all
and
the-
things that are
More harmful than
controlling
content?
your phone and stuff for controls and stuff. And
The
so-
gutters of Steam too have some things that like barely
Yeah.
should never be seen by human eyes.
Think about the games that are on the like Google Play Store that actually are just malware. You know, that gets caught
I
like
do think there's a difference.
multiple times a month. They're like, oh, this game was malware. We had to take it down. You know, so okay, so we sort of went through the game streaming one as well as the super app one. The third one is messaging, and there was some stuff that I learned here that I didn't actually know. Like Apple doesn't allow third-party apps to send SMS messages. So the only way that you can send an SMS on an iPhone is through the Messages app,
Okay, yeah, that's pretty straightforward.
which is pretty straightforward.
And that's
I-
a super easy one to have a public and a private the public thing is SMS super insecure.
yeah.
We don't want to just let any app go out sending SMS messages or receiving insecure messages. But obviously, if you allow third-party apps to send and receive SMS, then people won't use Apple's app to send and receive SMS.
Right. Think about getting like two-factor authentication codes. Anytime you get one, comes through the Messages app. the more your Messages app shows up in front of your face, the more you're just going to start using it.
Yeah.
What's their reasoning for for only having messages to do SMS? It's just
Apple
privacy.
hasn't replied to
They haven't replied. Okay.
I would guess that it's privacy, but the irony, the intense irony is then then use the open secure standard.
RCS,
Use
maybe.
RCS.
Yeah.
Which they did say they were going to use, but we still don't know what the implementation of that's going to be. All of these things. Clock's ticking.
That's this year it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, but that's
right?
such a long period
This
of time.
year.
It was was
December
it in January that they mentioned? No,
it was last year.
last year, and they said it would happen in 2024.
Like December 26th.
I hope that happens at WWDC. But
Merry Christmas. Here's RCS.
yeah. Just like they did with the CarPlay stuff in the Porsche, where they're like, we forgot. We promised this.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. So that's a big thing. And then obviously they talk about, the green bubble, blue bubble fiasco and just the insane amount of high percentage of teenagers who are planning to buy an iPhone specifically for that reason.
It is so high.
In the United States, we understand
Yes,
WhatsApp exists.
we-
Please do
Bro.
not comment, just use WhatsApp.
But also, every time I read the stats, I'm like, damn.
Yeah. And it just
Wow.
gets higher and higher and higher. Every
It's
year.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things was that they do not allow the Apple Watch to work on Android phones, and they make the functionality of other smartwatches way harder or way worse. So an example of this is that on the Apple Watch, you can respond to messages, with the keyboard or with your voice or all this stuff. You can interact with notifications, and it can pull all that kind of stuff. If you use an iPhone and you have a smartwatch, you can't get a notification and pull up the app on your smartwatch.
Yeah.
You can't respond to a message on your smartwatch if it's connected to an iPhone. Correct, Adam?
Wait,
I think so.
Say that again. If you have an iPhone, or if you
No,
don't
if you
have
don't have an iPhone.
Yes.
Or sorry, if you have an
If you have-
iPhone and you have a non-Apple smartwatch,
Then it's
highly
nerfed.
deprecated.
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is one of the only ones where I feel like I kind of get Apple's perspective. Not even perspective. I just feel like competitively, they're like, look, we made this phone and we made this watch and we made our phone work with our watch. If you're not one of those, tough. Obviously, it would be nice if you could force Apple to make their phone more compatible with other people's stuff, but it's like, who cares? You don't have to actually, that's not actually necessary.
I think the idea is that they have such dominant market share in the United States,
Right.
that they're abusing their market share to make everything worse to keep people using their products, and which again is in their right to do, kind of, but also I think the Department of Justice just cares about promoting competition, and without taking action to allow other people to use other devices, the percentage of people on iPhones and Apple Watches is just going to go up and up and up.
Yeah, this is one of those complaints I think that only works because of their dominance.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't even really care if there was another small smartwatch and a small smartphone and they only work with each other.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Go in the corner and do your thing.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that part. I don't know if I agree, or no, I don't agree with Apple saying we built this phone, we built this watch, put them together, because there are just other watches that fill specific niches better. Garmin is so good at so many things that it's been doing for so long, and to just take away some basic functionality of what makes it a smartwatch, then there are plenty of people who have iPhones that probably want a Garmin watch because of maybe the way better GPS or ruggedness of it versus
100%.
I know they did Apple Watch Ultra,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that feels really
The phrasing is interesting because if you say take away, it's almost like this was out there and they took it away, but they never had to enable it ever in the first place.
they never had to enable
know?
it ever, but
That's what their argument.
Yeah.
It's,
I
Yeah.
get it,
Yeah,
but
it's a
I
shit
also
argument.
I agree with Andrew though, because there's ways to differentiate your product based on a compelling feature that users want.
100%.
The Apple Watch has Siri. I miss that every day that I've been using a Garmin. It's actually useful on the Apple Watch. Just setting timers, doing random things, awesome.
Yeah.
So the fact that I have a Garmin and doesn't have Siri, that's what I get. I don't have an Apple Watch. But I can't turn off certain notifications from apps
Right.
because I have a Garmin.
Yeah, it would
That
be
is dumb.
there's a lot of dumb. I would say it would be a much stronger argument for the features of the Apple Watch if all smart watches could have the same access. Then it would be like,
Yes.
all right, we're literally that's the whole point of this whole lawsuit. But then we would literally just be buying the watch based on which one has the features we like. And some people would pick the Apple Watch, some people would pick the Garmin, some people would pick this and that or whatever. But Apple feels this extra need on top to be like, well, we don't have to make ours work with others, so we just won't. And now there's only one choice of an actually full-featured smartwatch for the iPhone.
Right.
By the logic of Apple made their thing that can only work with their product, it's like, okay, so all other smartwatches now can't tell time.
No, they can all do stuff on their own. They just don't have the plugs, the hooks into the iPhone to take advantage of the features that come from being connected to an iPhone.
But also there's basic features they
Yeah, it
can't
sounds
do.
like some
like
pretty
Adam,
basic-
explain the notifications thing.
So like if I'm on Android and I have a Garmin watch, and this actually happened a couple weeks ago because I walked into the office and I went up to Andrew and I was like, Andrew, can you help me figure out this Garmin thing? Because I can't figure it out. And we pulled up our phones next to each other and I was on iOS, he was on Android. And I followed him step by step in the settings to turn off certain app notifications. And on Android, it gives you a list of all the apps. I could turn off WhatsApp. I could keep on SMS text messaging. I could turn off Instagram. I could keep on Threads. On iOS, it's all or nothing. I can only get notifications on my watch or I can't get notifications on my watch. So it's like little things like that where it's like just annoying.
Insane.
My only question on that is, are we sure that's not Garmin making that decision, or
No, that's
that's-
on
that's
every
that's an
smartwatch.
iOS
That's
thing?
Android allows it and iPhone doesn't.
And
allow it.
on your Apple Watch, you can
You
choose
can turn
which
off individual notifications. Yes.
That would drive me insane.
Yes.
Dude,
It
I
drove
literally
me crazy.
I would not use a Garmin
That's
watch
the
if I
thing.
had an iPhone.
That's
Exactly.
the thing. The complaint is not that it's like that they can't really do it. It's that they're so big that it's the only viable option in the market, really.
It's also just wild because like Apple is good enough at giving itself differentiating features that like I just think will always work better because you're in the same ecosystem. Why take the extra step?
Because I think it's because if you just do these little things that make it just like, that's annoying. That's annoying.
That's
And
the whole headphones thing.
Yeah.
That's like why AirPods are so dominant. It's not like AirPods are the best headphones ever, but there are like 2 or 3 magical features that work perfectly with the iPhone
Yes.
that are just the reason people buy it.
Question, the W2 chip, right?
The
That's what
chip,
it has?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that made by Apple?
Yeah.
But so that's like
H2, I think.
is it H2 now?
Wait, is it W2 or
I thought it was W2 and
I think it started as W because it was the same chip from the watch, but they changed it to H. I
okay, so
believe.
we'll just call it the chip that connects them. I think that's an example of actually they made that chip, they made that good. It's something specific. That is something that just is a feature that is better, but like or Jaybird's not going to have that. Jaybird can still connect, but rather than just like taking away an easy way to connect from Jaybird, they're
Right.
giving you something extra. I think that's fine, and that makes AirPods great. But like to be like, hey, your Garmin watch can't differentiate
Yeah, I guess 'cause
notifications is like,
Yeah, there's a difference
Come
between
on, that's-
adding features on top that is like this works. There's additional magic that happens with Apple products and services versus here's a basic feature that you just can't do if you're connected to something else.
Yeah, I guess headphones are more one-dimensional, where it's like all you really do is, does the audio go to the phone and back?
Pairing.
Great. Does it have a mic? Does it pair? Great. But with a smartwatch, there's 15 or 20 features, so
It's
it
like a
feels much more obvious when 12 of them are nuked.
And the weird thing too is that this is all happening to Apple customers already. You already have an iPhone and they're punishing you for not buying their other product. It's not like, oh, you have an iPhone? Well, then sure, go buy a Garmin because you're already
Yeah.
an iPhone user. It's like, no, you bought a Garmin, now you're going to pay because you
Right.
didn't buy the Apple Watch.
Yeah. And their other complaint is that the Apple Watch is pretty expensive. And because it only works with the iPhone, if you buy an Apple Watch, you're less incentivized to move to an Android phone because then you just have to throw your Apple Watch away.
That's an interesting perspective because theoretically, you could switch to an Android phone and then get all of the features that you're talking about that you want from the watch, right? You
From
could
what
get
watch?
all the specific notifications.
back to the Garmin thing.
Oh, the
you were
Garmin.
saying,
Like you have an iPhone and you see the Garmin. You want all the features that you get from Android, so you theoretically can switch to Android and Garmin.
Right.
And I guess their theory is the
gotta buy
friction
another
of
watch,
that.
though.
No, you have the Garmin already.
Oh.
Well, I mean, okay, so you have an iPhone, you bought the Garmin, the features don't work. You can switch to an Android phone on the spot, but that friction is enough that people don't do it, and instead they don't get the Garmin, they buy the Apple Watch.
And then the Apple Watch further locks you into the ecosystem because then you bought a $450 watch that only works with your iPhone. So if you decide to switch to an Android phone, your watch is now useless.
Yeah.
And you have to buy, not only are you
That's
throwing
the wall.
away, not only are you throwing away the $400 that you spent, you now have to spend another $300 on a Garmin watch.
But that's different. I'm okay with that because that is them differentiating their thing. Like our watch only works with our phone. And as much as it sucks, I get it. But taking away features after I've already bought the thing, that's where I have the issue with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I still think the Apple Watch should work with Android phones. I get if it doesn't work as fluidly with it, but like just it straight up doesn't work because
The
like
Pixel Watch doesn't work with iPhones. So there's that.
really?
Nobody's mad though.
Does the
But nobody's
Samsung,
mad because,
does the Galaxy Watch work with iPhones?
No, it's...
No.
you can use
I know the
Galaxy
Galaxy
Watch
Watch
with all
works
Android
on.
phones.
It works
You
better
can?
with Galaxy phones.
Yeah, sure. And again, I'm like,
Which is slippery.
yeah.
That's true.
What are the things it works better with though? Is it's usually because it's just connected to like other Samsung apps within inside
Yeah, I
your
think there's a
Samsung
couple-
phone.
You can also
probably
have
won't have
an
on your
Android phone.
Yeah, like normal. I don't know. I used a Samsung Watch on my Pixel for a year, and it was totally fine.
You can
I liked
use the Galaxy Watch with the iPhone.
I thought there was one that
So
You can use it with an iPhone,
Yeah.
but you can't set it up with an iPhone. So you need to first pair it to an Android phone.
Are you sure?
Set it up. Yeah, I'm on Reddit right now. Then unpair it. Then pair it with an iPhone.
Good go.
But in the
just
case
the
of the
setup process.
Pixel Watch not working at all with an iPhone, are we mad because Google
That
should
sounds dumb.
totally support the iPhone, or are we like, yeah, it's a
Well-
Google phone and a Google Watch?
This is like the abusing monopoly power question.
Right,
Like,
this
Google
is not a
so
monopoly.
behind that we don't really care. That said, I think we should care because this is how you build monopolies.
But also, though, who's restricting the use between them? Is it Google
you
saying
can-
you can't use?
Yeah, it's Google.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's
Google
Google.
does not, because you can build smartwatches that will at least connect and work with the iPhone. Theirs
Okay.
doesn't at all.
And the funny thing is, Google has just been trying to copy Apple's ecosystem play for ever since
Everyone
the Pixel
is,
came
yeah.
out. Yeah, but specifically now they're like,
Sure.
let's build a watch and headphones and like a laptop. Like they're specifically trying to match the ecosystem that Apple has, and they're doing it in a very similar way. Of like the Pixel Watch only works on Android phones. You know, which
Yeah.
Google's has some monopoly claims as well on them.
do.
So yeah,
They absolutely do.
they're
Like-
not scotch free.
100%. Yeah. Okay. Now that the watch is a big one. The watch is for sure a big one.
Yeah. Big
Last major complaint is that the access to the NFC chip on iPhones.
Oh, yeah.
You can only use with like Apple Wallet and Apple Pay.
Yeah.
And their complaint, which technically true, is that like if I was a bank, I could theoretically offer my own wallet app that maybe could compete with other banks, because I could say, if you use our wallet app, then we give you special rewards, and then that incentivizes me to move over to Chase or move over to Bank of America or something like that. But because Apple controls the fire hose of Apple Pay, and you can only use the NFC chip with Apple Pay on the iPhone, they don't allow like anybody to do that. The other thing is that they also take a cut of every payment that is made through Apple Pay.
Yeah.
That's not that much different from like using a credit card, though, right? Don't credit cards have?
They do, but theoretically, as a consumer, you have the option to like give that money to Chase or Bank of America or whatever.
Like on an Android
you're
phone,
saying-
you can use a different wallet app and make a payment and have someone else take a cut.
Yeah.
And I use a different service,
Like
and it'll go
there's-
through NFC and still work.
For
the way
sure.
it
Like the
expects.
NFC chip works with, it's like there's an API for the NFC chip that you can use as Samsung, or that Samsung Pay could use that, or Google Pay could use that. So you have to sort of compete. And I honestly think that that's a reason that Google Pay, one of the many versions of Google Pay that we've had at this point,
Wallet, Google Pay.
like 2 versions ago or 1 version ago, had this weird reward system going on where like if you use Google Pay more, you would like build up rewards that you could use for like other things. And I don't know. This one's a little weak. I don't think people are going to go out there and be like, yeah, instead of Apple Pay and Apple Wallet, I want to use Bank of America Wallet. Like people aren't going to do that. But still,
But
it's
let
like
them fight for it.
let them
Like,
fight
give,
for it.
give them the chance at making that.
Ultimately, I think this whole claim is just about competition in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Like Apple specifically makes it so that other people can't even compete with them to offer a better deal that would incentivize consumers to go over there. And one note that I forgot about the super app thing was like the big reason why the Chinese Android market is so insane and why there's like 2 Android phones coming out per day in China is because everything is about WeChat. And so people don't really care about the iPhone over there because they're just like, it's an app and I can use whatever hardware I want. And it just makes this incredibly vibrant hardware ecosystem.
It is so different. That's why Xiaomi and Oppo and like so many other OEMs over there are in such fierce competition. It's because they're trying to give you reasons to buy their phone over the other one.
The reason a Naruto phone exists.
Yeah,
is
most people are
because-
just, I'm buying a phone to use WeChat, so I don't really care what's on the phone. But if you can convince me, I'm open to listening. So they're in fierce competition over there, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over here, we're like, no NFC.
Yeah.
I just remember it was so funny how long other Android phones had NFC and how like this niche community around NFC was
tags.
built up with the little tags. And you could
Samsung
be like,
tags,
every
yeah.
time I get in my car, I like tap it and it goes into auto mode and navigates home and plays the song I like and turns on the heater at home, like all this stuff.
I loved that
And like
era.
the iPhone never had NFC. And when it finally got the NFC chip, that
Only
whole community
Apple
was
Pay.
like, what can we do with it? It's like, oh no, it's just there for Apple Pay. Like, God, why?
Yeah.
Well, now you
That's
could do
tough.
things with it with like shortcuts and
Yeah.
stuff. But
A few more. It's all
It's a
somewhere in
hassle.
Apple's ecosystem.
Yeah. So a few really amazing quotes from this. There was this quote that someone said, looking at it with hindsight, I think going forward, we need to set a stake in the ground for what features we think are good enough for the consumer. I would argue we're already doing more than what would have been good enough a few years ago. It would be really hard to regress our product features year over year. So someone at Apple is saying, we've actually we already have so much market dominance that we're actually giving you too many new features. We should slow down, and I actually wish we could take away features so that we could trickle feed you these features year over year.
Yeah.
But that would be really difficult. So going forward, we need to make sure that we don't innovate too quickly. It's
Yikes.
like, holy crap.
Just sending this stuff to each other in the group chat.
Guys,
Like,
stop emailing this stuff.
Buy your mom an iPhone.
No,
Okay,
that's
was
in.
the document.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. I think that quote is going to haunt Tim Cook for the rest of his career.
it so perfectly encapsulates everything, though. It's
Literally.
the question, the answer, and the way he grins while he answers. Like,
It's
all of it
5
is
words.
so perfect.
It's 5 words that are going to be on his gravestone.
It's so perfect for that. Yeah.
I feel bad for him for that though, because he was clearly just joking. Not really, but
not
joking.
really,
the only
bro.
reason it was a good joke is because the sliver
Yeah.
of truth is like, but actually,
Yeah.
like, it's the only way you can see these videos that your mom is sending you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would argue that when you're the CEO of a $1 trillion company, you lose your joking privileges. Like we have the right to take everything
You
you,
hit a
say
certain
Yeah,
Sorry.
well,
Sorry.
you
at
can
that
make the
point.
joke, but we're allowed to take it way too seriously.
That's fair.
Yeah. If you have a market cap over with 9 digits, we don't listen to your jokes anymore.
Yeah.
We love
Probably
you, Tim.
a solid
but
rule. Yeah.
Nah.
Fair.
So, yeah.
You're paying enough people to clap for you at the events, anyways. You don't
No,
need us to.
If you rewatch that clip, I think it was from Code 2023. It's really awkward because as soon as he says "buy your mom an iPhone," everyone starts laughing like really awkwardly. Like everyone in the crowd is like,
And so we leave her
Buy
out of-
your mom an iPhone.
It's because he like technically addressed the elephant in the room, which is like, you guys have this huge walled garden, and I really would like to be able to do this without buying my mom an iPhone. So what are your thoughts? And you're the CEO of Apple, so you can't say anything other than just get your mom an iPhone. Like, what do you think I'm gonna say? So it was kind of funny in the truth of how revealing that was.
and what precursed that statement was someone saying like, hey, so it's like very difficult to message between different devices, and it's really annoying. And
It's like him and his mom
sending
like
videos.
send blurry messages.
well, before he said the mom comment, he was just like, it's difficult to text. And Tim Cook just says, we haven't heard from our users that they want better interoperability with Android
phrasing
phones.
is hilarious.
Specifically said our users, because of course,
Yeah.
people that use iMessage are not the ones that are upset about this.
Yeah.
So anyway, Yeah, that's going to go to his grave. This is going to take multiple years in the court system. They're going to appeal it. It's going to be a whole thing.
It's why I think I should start making a video about it, because it'll be evergreen.
You should.
Because the courts will take forever with this. And I also I think the analogy of, we've said the words walled garden so many times that I feel like it's worth like actually painting the wall in color so you can see exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, this is what happens when you're in the walled garden, and this is the wall you hit when you try to leave.
Yeah.
You can't get customized notifications on anything else, so you have another Apple thing. You can't get transparency mode on any of these others with one click, so now you have Apple's headphones too.
Yeah.
Now you have Apple's laptop too. Now you have Apple's messaging service too. And that, I think, is worth a video in some way, sort of trying to crystallize that.
Even the Vision Pro, it only works with Apple ecosystem apps
yeah.
that are like not available on Android phones.
I said it before it came out. I was like, when Apple makes a headset, it will be the one that works with the iPhone. And even though it doesn't connect to the iPhone, it's the one that has iMessage on it. It's the one that has FaceTime on it.
Yeah.
It's the one that has the App Store. It's just exactly.
If you have an Android phone and you don't really use an Apple ID that much, the headset's basically worthless.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
you can still, I use an Android phone, and I can still use apps in the App Store. So like there's that. If you
Yeah.
don't want to use multi-platform apps, you can jump in, use Vision Pro apps in there.
Yeah.
But you're not going to use FaceTime. You're not going to use iMessage. You're not going to use probably their built-in email app or Safari, because you have bookmarks in Chrome, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, those walls still exist.
And I will say, as sort of a way to on this out, that whole thing about iTunes growing because of Windows, it's kind of a valid point, because at the time Windows had 97% market share, right? So imagine Apple's trying to grow this new product. Apple's, I don't know, Garmin in this juncture. They're trying to grow this new product, but the platform that is completely dominating the market doesn't allow you to put out your application for people to actually use it. If iTunes couldn't have gotten put on Windows, would iTunes have like grown to the point where it was? You know?
If it couldn't have been put on Windows?
Yeah. Because it couldn't at first.
Yeah.
Like QuickTime didn't really work with Windows at first.
Do you think Apple like saw that lawsuit and understands like the line they have to skirt to kind of not turn into that, which now they pretty much have, but like
they're skirting it real close.
they're skirting it real close. I like seeing all of this and seeing all the things. If all 5 of these things change, all I think of this is like Apple won already. Like what all of these things happened to put people in this garden, and they're in the garden already. They're not coming out with all of these things change, which I don't even think all of these things will change. But like, let's say every single thing happens for the DOJ here because it should happen.
Yeah. And some of the walls have holes in them now.
There's a couple holes 25 feet up,
Yeah.
and you can't buy a ladder on the App Store to get up there. But it's just like, it feels like all these things happen to stifle competition, and they stifled it enough to their winning in every aspect.
Yeah.
It's not going to change very much.
Depending on the implementation of RCS next year, I will very likely be switching to an Android phone. So,
Which is why they will be doing everything in their power to implement it in a way that makes that less compelling.
right.
I think even that though is such a small user, like it doesn't mean anything to them. The amount of people that would
Yeah.
think that is absolutely nothing.
It does
to Apple.
feel a little bit like too late.
It's too late.
I think your point is there are lots of people who already have the MacBook and the iPhone and the Apple Watch and everything, but there is a world where there are like 12-year-olds right now who are about to get their first 2 devices, and maybe they'll get the Garmin watch instead.
I guess that's what I should say. It's too late for probably maybe in like our lifetime or in like a couple generations. Whereas I'm sure when Microsoft got hit with this, people were like, well, they own 97% already. It's too late. But now we're at a point where it's like,
Right.
oh, there is some
Trickle.
competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe they're hitting
Lane
it now.
gets her first phone.
Or
Perfect
when
timing.
Lane's kids get their phones, they might have something different.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
when you're growing up as a kid and like you're a parent and you need to get a phone for your kid, you don't want to get them a new like an iPhone 15 Pro and they're 9 years old,
Why not?
right?
Please don't.
Tim would say,
Tim would say that.
Buy your
Lane-
mom
Lane
an iPhone
needs a-
15 Pro Max.
But if your kid's 9 years
Space
old
gray.
and all of their friends have iMessage and they're getting bullied for not having iMessage, they're going to go to you and be like, but I need the iPhone.
Dad,
And like, if that's not there,
their dad's a nerd, and it's gonna have some very funny answers.
You're
for
gonna
that
love
one.
this
But,
1
no,
+
sorry.
11
That's
Yeah.
again like super anecdotal.
if that barrier
Most
isn't
of them-
there and it's less like those kids
Agreed.
can get anything that their parents will give them. And also, people tend to stick with brands for a long period of time throughout their entire life. I remember when the LG G8 Thin Q came out, and it was like,
Damn, throwback.
at least 3 generations into people just not buying LG phones anymore, really. And I was in an Uber, and the Uber guy had it. And I was like, why did you pick this phone? I literally asked him.
Oh, I had an aunt. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like,
Samsung train.
oh, I've just always used LG since like the flip phones. Like people
Yeah.
just stick with brands.
Yeah, I have the same thing. I have an aunt that was on. I swear I had this conversation at a wedding. It was like, I have a S6. Which Samsung should I get?
Yeah,
like
which
that's the question they're
Samsung?
asking.
Yeah.
Should I get the S20, S22? And that's all they're like. I don't really want to learn a new thing with the LG or the HTC. So like, which one should I get?
Yeah.
That's very valid.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, buy your lane Android phone. Should be the new quote.
See, there won't be phones there.
Buy your kid an
Only
Android phone. Anyway, yeah. Like we said, it's going to take probably a few years for this to actually get through the courts. On the Vergecast, I was listening to their talk about this, and they made a bet whether it be over under 2030 by the time this gets resolved. Oh my God. Which feels pretty
I guess I got some time to work on this video then.
What gets resolved first, this or like all car manufacturers switching to EVs? Because 2030 is like when almost everyone's promised they'll stop doing
That's
gas
also
cars.
when it's supposed to be zero emissions from all tech companies, right?
Yeah, I'd
Or
say there's
net
at least
zero
legislation
carbon.
in place that would.
I bet you 2030 looks exactly like it does right now
For
I
cars.
wouldn't be shocked
for
at all.
all the
For
things
both.
we just talked about.
For everything. We do another podcast episode. We talk about the exact same things. We make more
2040.
bets. Yeah, totally could happen. Well, we've talked for a while about this, so we should take another quick break. But before we do, we should do trivia.
This is the third time we're doing this, although no one else will know that but us. Okay, first or second question. God, I'm so thrown off now. One more time.
Why not?
Why not?
Fourth time.
4 times a charm
When was the first Google I/O? When was the first Dub? That's the question.
for 2 points.
1 point for 2 right answers.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, we got to brainstorm some of these dates. We'll think about them, and we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. We have one more quick story just because this is a long episode, but we wanted to get to it, and then we'll do trivia again. Did you see the leaked email from Elon to Tesla about how they want to enable full self-driving on all vehicles leaving the factory?
I didn't. I saw this headline, but I didn't actually look into what is happening.
Sure. So Elon sent out an email that says, going forward, it is mandatory in North America to install and activate FSD version 12.3.1 and take customers on a short test ride before handing over the car. Almost no one actually realizes how well supervised FSD actually works. I know this will slow down the delivery process, but it is nonetheless a hard requirement. So it seems like from the factory now, all of the cars will have it enabled, and I guess they want people to all go on test drives to physically see how FSD works, rather than just people spending however, like $15,000 now, but whatever the price has been fluctuating over the last 10 years.
So you take delivery. So what happens is if you bought full self-driving, you will accept delivery and then you'll get in the car and they give you a quick demo of it and then you leave and you know how to use it. If you didn't buy it, you will accept delivery. They will give you a test ride in your car which has it enabled, and then once the test ride's over, it gets turned off and they go, make sure you unlock that.
I just realized
you leave.
$1,000.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a pretty brute force way of going, our conversion rate isn't high enough. We need more people to buy FSD.
Yeah, I feel like it's along the lines of like, we've converted the like super fans of Tesla who really want FSD, but now we're like, you know, we're mainstream enough now that enough people are buying it that aren't really Tesla, like online Tesla people. So let's give them a look at what this is, because they're not reading articles or watching Twitter.
Right.
I just feel like the only people this is going to work on is the people that buy the top trim Model S. Because $15,000 on top of what you're paying is just insane.
Is that what it costs for every car?
Most people going into like a car delivery are like, I just want this over with. I can't believe I'm spending this much money. And then for them to be like, you like that? You want to toss us another 15,000
more?
Well, I also think you can buy a subscription, right?
Yeah, you can do the $200 a month subscription.
Is it?
That might be what.
True, that's a good point.
into.
That makes way more sense.
That's a good point. That's also so much money. $200 a month?
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be
toss the
that
$200
blown
a month.
away. So enhanced autopilot is $6,000. FSD
what
is
is
$12,000.
What is enhanced autopilot?
Auto lane change and auto park and smart summon?
Which is,
Navigate on autopilot.
so what's full
can't-
self-driving?
So FSD adds automatic lane changing, positioning on the highway, and overtaking slow cars. And
I would not feel comfortable doing that.
That's all its
it's-
own conversation in itself. Yeah.
Yeah,
but-
I mean, it's not full on autopilot. Autopilot is a whole nother debate. But I think just having FSD, these acronyms are so annoying.
I know.
FSD is called full self-driving, but it's not full self-driving. It's one step above the cruise control that is adaptive speed cruise control. So like right now, this is funny, the Cybertruck, which no matter what you paid for, it doesn't have autopilot or FSD. It just has
Really?
adaptive cruise control. And the button is sitting there in the app,
Which
grayed
is called
out.
autopilot.
Just cruise control.
On
Just
the-
adaptive cruise control on the Cybertruck. And it's not, I mean, it's fine. It's basically you still steer everything, but it's keeping the distance with the car in front of you, and that's all that's happening.
Wait, it doesn't even keep you in the lane?
Doesn't even keep you in the lane.
What?
Oh.
My Model 3 does that.
Right.
my Forester
For free.
does that.
Right.
For-
So when you add autopilot or you add FSD, you get to the point where, okay, it'll hold you in the lane, you can switch lanes, and it also adds like the summon feature and auto park and stuff like that. But at least now you can like take your hands off the wheel and it will glide you around the highway, and that's more relaxing. That's what people, I think, are generally impressed by and happy to pay for. But then the next highest level of like full on autopilot, which is this can navigate around streets for you and like stop at intersections and go around roundabouts and all this other stuff, that is a whole separate debate. And only the highest end like buyers are even willing to pay for something like that. Totally agreed. But yeah, I guess I'm super curious what the actual numbers are. Like how many people actually do buy autopilot versus how
Apparently
many people
not
they
enough.
want. Sounds like not enough.
Or the trend is going down, I would guess, for sure. Because, yeah, I think like it's Tesla's the most mainstream electric vehicle at this point, to the point where it's battling against gasoline powered cars.
Oh my God, I got it
So,
backwards.
like-
Sorry, autopilot is the first level and FSD is
yeah.
the second level.
Okay,
I
that's-
said it backwards.
That's okay.
Yeah, fun naming. Thanks, guys.
It's very funny.
There's autopilot and then there's also enhanced autopilot, right?
Yeah. Cool.
Correct.
No, it's just enhanced autopilot,
Yeah, I think so.
which includes navigate on autopilot.
And that's not the free one?
So here it is. Autopilot is traffic-aware cruise control and auto steer in one package.
That's basic autopilot.
And that's the free one. yeah.
Autopilot, no
Keeps
other
you-
adjectives.
It keeps you in the lane and it keeps you between cars.
Precisely.
Got it.
Enhanced.
hands have to be on the wheel?
Yeah, because you still have
Yeah,
to steer.
yeah.
You
No,
still have to
no,
steer.
no.
No,
It
you
has,
don't have
it
to
has
steer.
auto steer.
Yeah, it has auto
It just
steer.
can't change lanes.
For example, I have paid for nothing,
Right.
and my car auto steers for me.
Do you have to?
David gets on the tunnel, he hits the thing, and he hands free.
Yeah.
For free?
Yes.
Yeah.
So like, why would you? Okay,
This is my question.
All right, I got you.
I also want to clarify real quick. I said mine has. I have to put my hand on the wheel every once in a while, but I do have
Yeah,
lane
same with the
keep.
Model 3.
Okay, you do. Okay.
Yeah, I keep my hand on the wheel. I just don't have to like.
Pay any attention.
I don't have to do this. You know.
Okay, just to recap. Autopilot. It is free. It is traffic-aware cruise control, so it'll match the speed of traffic, and it will auto steer to keep you in your marked lane. That
Okay.
is free.
good on
Enhanced
highways.
autopilot will get you on and off. It'll take you on and off ramps on freeways. It will do auto lane change, which normal autopilot does not have. It includes auto park, summon, and smart summon
It's a lot of features,
as well.
but it's also $6,000.
That is enhanced autopilot.
Okay.
If your car, and we can pause there, if your car already will hold its lane on the highway and turn on highway lanes, are people going to want to spend the $6,000 for auto lane change and getting off the exit ramp?
Does it stop at the end of the exit ramp?
Yeah, it turns off at the end of the exit ramp.
Wait. So say
for
that
$6,000?
statement again. If your car,
Your car already does what your car does,
which all it does is stay in the lane and
on the highway and go
follow
lanes.
speed.
and follow speeds.
Great.
Cool.
$6,000 more
Yeah.
for enhanced autopilot will get you
Lane change.
auto lane change.
Yeah.
And it will take the exit ramp to the end of the exit ramp.
And it will park and it will
and it can
summon.
do auto park or summon. I would argue summon is a party trick that no one uses,
Yeah.
but auto park, debatably useful.
I mean, just get good
$6,000.
at parking. Yeah.
That's kind of a tough sell. I gotta
It's
say,
really
it's
tough
not a
sell.
lot
And
of extra
the
stuff.
even tougher sell is the $15,000 one.
Okay,
Which
so what is the
does what?
$15,000?
Full self-driving
Which is not full self-driving, to be clear.
FSD. No, full self-driving is what we refer to as a level 2 autonomous vehicle system,
Not very high.
which is not very
There are
high.
5 levels.
It's a whole
I think
debate,
there are actually 6 levels now.
Oh.
which is why it's a whole debate. Okay, yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, there's 5 levels, but it starts at level 0.
So there's 6 levels.
I
So
get now.
0
I
to
think
5?
Yeah, but 0 is meat driving.
Is nothing.
Is nothing.
Oh, then there's
So-
5 levels.
Yeah, so there is
Of
5
autonomous
levels.
driving.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on.
But they're developers, so they have to start at 0 because they're cool.
Yeah, that's probably it.
I see.
All right. I'm just gonna.
is the human.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna read directly from Tesla's website, just so we get straight from the cat's mouth. Your vehicle will be able to drive itself almost anywhere with minimal driver intervention and will continuously improve. In addition to the functionality and features of autopilot and enhanced autopilot, FSD capability includes auto steer on streets. There is no description of what that means. It says auto steer
what does that
on streets. I would assume that means you get the auto steer feature from autopilot, but in non-freeway.
On non-freeway.
But again,
It was okay. Good to know.
Then traffic and stop sign control, identifies stop signs and traffic lights and automatically slows your vehicle to a stop on approach with your
hold
active
up.
supervision.
The last one doesn't.
It does.
No, well, because basically
only works on
everything before
highways.
was
Yes.
only the biggest jump here we're going is to regular
Highway to
streets.
street.
Getting off highways.
Got it.
So, and then there's just a big long paragraph about full self-driving requires active driver supervision and does not make the vehicle autonomous,
Yeah, because
which is hilarious.
That's so funny. They're just like, it's basically autonomous. Disclaimer: it's not autonomous.
All caps. Full self-driving. Small text. It's not autonomous driving.
Which also, it can still be impressive that they're this close to doing that while
Yeah.
still also just not being the thing that they say it is. It's
guess-
very confusing.
I do want to dump on this so bad, but also, what else could you call it? You know,
What else could you call it?
what else could
Level
you
2.
I mean, full self-driving
To get regular
pretty
people
much
to-
means it fully does everything.
It's just
Which
branding.
it
It could be
does.
enhanced assisted driving.
would a regular person get that?
If you get lane assist, but then this one is lane assist plus
What about
or
almost
pro
autonomous
or ultra, as Ellis said, a
or
couple episodes
almost
ago.
autonomous driving? Nearly
it's because
autonomous.
theoretically, you don't have to do any input. The car will drive you from point A to point B.
but
It needs
But-
it, though.
yeah, it can't do it without you there
It
ready
can't-
to take
it
over
can't
at a
say
moment's
that they can do
notice.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my demo of it where it took me, 15-minute drive to get here, and I did not at any point give the car input. Actually, that's a lie. 2 or 3 times I interrupted it. But theoretically, if it works correctly,
Yeah.
you don't have to give it any input.
Theoretically.
And it doesn't need you to take over at any point.
Right.
Would be full.
Would be
In
full
my eyes,
self-driving.
that's the word.
So they should
full
just
is carrying a lot of weight.
Oh,
here.
interesting. Full. So,
Yeah.
so
Full.
just
It means
self-
it fully does everything that I would normally do.
So this is just self-driving.
It's also worth noting that level 5 is called full automation. So it is like a little.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, this is such a weird analogy, but I was showing you that commercial for a diaper that says, it's like
Andrew becomes the dad. And
I know, but it's guaranteed to prevent up to 100% of blowouts. The full self-driving
Is
could 100 up to 100% of your full
Prevents
drive.
up
It's
to
the same
100% of
language.
crashes.
It's full blowout protection, which is up to 100%.
Which is the same as all of the cleaning materials that it say kills up to 99% of bacteria.
Yeah.
Because they can't say it kills everything in case it misses.
Yeah.
I mean,
one.
or internet speeds up to 900.
I just got my test back, Mom. I got up to an A+. What does that
I
even
wish I
mean?
knew that when I was in
You should,
school. Oh my god! My mom would have
technical
kicked me out of the
terminology
house.
Was like up to an A+.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a tough sell. But if you're gonna get people to buy it, I guess theoretically that's the best way to buy it, is to be like, this is the mandatory acceptance process of, here's your car,
Yeah.
get in, we're going for a ride.
Yeah.
All right.
Insane. It's a lot. It's crazy. It's
It's a lot.
$15,000.
I do think though, like being able to get a quick test of it sounds pretty awesome. Or like if you actually were thinking of it, knowing that you can get the test before committing to the $15,000
Yeah, or the
is just
$200.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, maybe that,
That is not a
lowers the
bad
number
idea.
of people who commit before accepting delivery.
Oh shoot.
That's
That's
kinda
what if
funny.
it
that
could
would be
backfire?
funny if it backfired.
Yeah,
Oh, that's not even what I was talking about. I was
because you're saying like, okay, you want people to commit, and how fast can you get them to commit? Right now, there is no demo. So if you don't buy it, the only way to try it is if you commit to it for at least a month, I guess. So if you don't commit, you will get a demo anyway. I think that means less people will commit initially
yeah, true.
if they know they're going to get a demo.
The old way they used to do it is you're buying your car, it's $5,000. You should commit right now because it's going to go up in price. And they made true on that statement.
yeah.
It has gone up in price.
It has.
But,
Yeah.
By a lot. Well, fun.
Fun.
And
I'm sure everyone will enjoy that
expensive.
conversation.
Yeah.
And no one will think
No one
differently
will
about
buy it.
anything we said there.
I definitely said FSD or autopilot wrong many times at some point during
yeah,
that.
heaven forbid.
Fun times.
That's
FSD,
confusing.
DOJ, AI,
AI,
TRIVIA.
WWDC.
Oh, I had
IO.
that was a perfect segue and everyone missed it.
Did you say trivia? What'd you say?
I spelled trivia.
TRIVIA. For all the babies out there, I'm sorry.
That's pretty good.
I know you won't understand. what I mean.
Trivia. Okay, quick update on the score. Marquez with 4. Andrew with 1, 2. Carry the 3. 3. Nice. David with 2.
Yeah.
First question.
Uploaded June 16th, 2009, this 4.4 billion view masterpiece is the oldest video on YouTube's all-time top 30 list. What video is it?
I'm actually pretty.
I just want you to know what I thought in my head for a second there. I went, oh my God, Coney 2012. And then I was like, wait, no, that's 2012.
Yes, that was. Wait,
Is that video
no,
on
I
the
think it
list?
was 2011 when
It
it
was
came
definitely
out.
2012.
When it was.
Oh, when it came out?
Wasn't it like
Oh,
a 2011 campaign for 2012? I don't know
might
what it
have been.
was.
It's still wrong.
It's
and
still
I'm
wrong.
Just not actually putting anything down.
Don't write Coney 2012.
That is not on the top 30.
Yeah, that didn't have a long tail.
No.
I kind of feel confident about this one.
Dude,
All right, what do we got?
I just wrote this anyways.
All right. So,
Good
Okay.
call.
I know. So
I wrote Gangnam Style, which I know is wrong, but it was the first to hit 1 billion, so I thought
That is
maybe
true.
it tracked for a while.
First, definitely
and
first.
I think it also came out in like 2012 or 2011.
yeah.
But
damn. that
I know
long.
it came out while I was in high school, and technically I was in high school in 2009 and in 2011, so
Up to
Unfortunately.
2011.
up to 2011.
You were in high school in 2009?
Yeah,
too.
I was in 9th grade.
Oh, okay. That
2009.
makes sense.
I graduated.
I wasn't.
I was done.
I was in
I was in
11th grade.
college.
That's correct. Thanks for making it feel old yet.
I know I'm wrong, but I wrote Me at the Zoo just in case it was that.
It
And
is
I would feel
not.
dumb.
Well, they said it's not, right?
I
They
wrote
never said it was.
Baby by Justin Bieber.
That is a really good guess, but unfortunately, the correct answer. I guess that did come out in 2009, right?
Baby.
Yeah.
It was very quickly the most disliked video in YouTube history.
I do remember.
Really?
that.
Why?
It's Justin Bieber in 2009.
Dude,
People disliked him in 2009?
did you ever play?
That was like
Why?
the end of his like
my gosh.
super popular ass point. He was too mainstream at that point, I think.
Oh, like people were annoyed by how
I
mainstream
think
he
so.
was.
Yes.
It was just like a meme. Like,
Damn, what is it?
it's the answer is Axel F by Crazy, Frog.
No way.
That has 4.4.
4.4 Billy.
That got uploaded. No, it's Crazy Frog by Axel F.
No.
Yes.
No way. No. Crazy Frog is the artist, and Axel F because it's a cover of Axel F, which is the theme song of Beverly Hills Cop.
Wait, really?
Boy.
Oh, wow.
Crazy Frog had an album though.
Okay.
Crazy Frog had a lot of
That's
bangers.
crazy because
anyone-
Crazy Frog really peaked, I felt like, when I was in middle school.
I thought Crazy Frog was like super popular pre-YouTube.
It was.
I remember like those two kids dancing like in their basement to Crazy Frog and
But where'd
making
you
the like
watch that
funny
video?
faces. I'm pretty sure Z-Bombs nailed it.
Frog.
Blah, 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 blah. Okay.
We love Crazy Frog.
Culture used to be weird, bro. Culture was.
I like how when I searched Crazy Frog, the lyrics come up on Google. Bam bam. No, it says bam bam. Oh, and then Daw's later.
If you've made it this far in the episode, I am so sorry.
We're on the back half of the episode.
If you get this far in the episode, please comment your favorite Crazy Frog lyrics. I would love to see that in the comments.
Okay.
I'm gonna pin that.
Read this. Durandra ma ba 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 bee.
That was the beginning. That's
in the middle.
Scatting in the beginning.
Oh no, yeah. No, that's
wait.
ba aramba ba bam ba barumba.
Wow.
We used to have class.
YouTube auto captioned that as well, just so you know.
This is my Roman Empire.
It is.
I just think about Crazy Frog all the time.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay. Question number 2. Finally.
Wow.
When was the first Google I/O? When was the first DubDub?
We're trying out a new system for these year ones because they're fun.
Okay.
What we're going to do is if you're within 5 years, or excuse me, if you're 5 years from the date, so a 10-year span, you get 1 point. If you're 3 years on either side, so 6-year span, you get 2 points. And if you're 1 year on either side, so a 3-year span, you get 3 points.
There's too many.
and if
Is
you
there nothing for
nail it,
nail it?
No,
I blacked it.
Oh no.
that's kind of a gap in the. In
I
this
like
new
the 1 year
system.
on either side. That's what PodQuiz does for like yearly
That-
things. Yeah.
That felt safe, and giving someone 5 points just felt like too much.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so
It is too much.
I'm trying to strategically think around my windows here.
We have a 5-year window and a what?
You can potentially get up to 3 points.
How?
By getting
a year.
Okay.
This seems like a good point to point out that the Crazy Frog Twitter account tweets in the character, which is like pretty funny.
That's amazing.
That's so good.
I'm changing it. Okay.
All right. Flip him and read. What do you got?
For Google I/O, I put 2010.
2010 gives you 2 points. So you're close, but not completely correct.
For WWDC, I put 2008.
You put 2008. That gives you... Oof.
That gives you.
Yeah, that's just wrong. You get nothing. Sorry.
I'm sorry, David.
How wrong?
Very wrong.
Wrong,
I can't.
wrong.
I can't give you a more accurate answer until I hear the rest of them.
Okay.
All right.
I also put 2010 for IO.
Okay, so you get 2 points.
And I went a higher date for WWDC 2014.
No.
Very wrong. Very
I
wrong.
wasn't sure if it was called something different before.
was.
It was.
Yeah.
It
I
was.
thought that was a trick.
Wait,
had
but
that
it's
in
the
the
same
past.
event, so I figured.
No,
But
different.
it wasn't called
Oh,
WWDC.
come
Yeah.
on.
Also, no, I think.
I was just going off of the first developer conference.
The first developer
Regardless of the
conference was
name.
also way before that, so you got that wrong either way.
Yeah, no one's right.
Yeah. Marquez, what do you have?
I'm wrong. I got 2009 for DubDub
No, for
and 2006 for IO.
Also 2 points for IO.
Oh, well, now we have to guess where it is.
And DubDub, you just got completely wrong.
Yes.
No one got points for
I want the
DubDub.
buzzer to be in the Crazy Frog cadence now.
Meh, meh.
Have we been quoting Crazy Frog the whole time?
Always have been.
So the answer, the first DubDub Worldwide Developers Conference was May 7th to May 11th of 1990.
Whoa.
Wow.
DubDub.
The first DubDub?
The first DubDub. Before that, in 87, it was called the Apple's Developer Conference, or DevCon. And then in
DevCon.
86, it was Apple World Conference. Before that was Apple II Forever. And before that, Apple Independent Software Developers Conference,
I
which
just-
was a trivia question, I believe.
Can I just note how they switched to removing the name Apple altogether to just say, we are the developer conference.
We are the
all
world.
developer conference. Worldwide developer conference. It's not even Apple Worldwide Developer Conference. It's just, we're the developer conference.
That's why they're getting sued.
That's why Tim Cook is Mr. Worldwide.
And that's 6 years away from or 6 years after their developer conference literally being called Apple II Forever.
Apple II Forever.
The sequel.
I wish. That's epic.
I don't think we have enough time for
Telling us
the
when I.O.
Safari. Oh, IO. Oh, it's 2008.
Okay.
Oh,
I was 2 years away.
me too. Did you also write 2010?
2006.
He was two in the other way.
Yeah. I don't think we have time for the Safari question.
Safari the browser.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
You want to do it? Mm-hmm. Third
We're
question.
already 2 hours in. Let's go. Send it.
Let's go.
Heck yeah, boys. All right. Apple released Safari with OS X 10.3 Panther. But before that, what third-party browser was included on all Macs starting in 1998 and ending in 2003?
Third-party browser.
Third-party browser included in Macintosh starting in 1998. It was not included before that and ending in 2003 with the introduction of Safari.
I'm bad at these history ones. I don't know.
Are you wearing an IO shirt?
Yes.
It's cool. I like it.
Thanks. Do you want it?
Maybe a little bit.
I don't
Wait,
think this
before
is-
we do the
We'll
answer, real quick, when we got that shirt, I was so excited for it. That first day I wore it, coming back, I spilled spaghetti sauce on it and got dirty, and I just had to get rid of it.
It is a
anyway.
cool shirt. I like it. a
Are
lot.
those sparkle emojis?
Yes, they are.
AI.
Hey, not yet.
Flip them and read.
Give it 5 years. Okay, wow.
Oh.
We all wrote Netscape. We're
Say
all
it.
wrong.
Oh, okay.
Is it the worldwide? Is it the no? It's not the World Wide Web browser that Tim
No.
Berners-Lee made.
It is. And are you ready for this? Internet Explorer.
I almost
Really?
wrote that. That's crazy.
I wrote that last and then crossed it out because I'm an idiot.
I believe
it.
they shipped with Netscape before Internet
Oh,
Explorer.
that hurts even more.
Another fun antitrust quote.
Go on.
Go off. Is that there's a quote from Microsoft where they say we need to take the oxygen out of Netscape's lungs.
Jesus.
That's like a mob threat.
Microsoft said that?
Yeah.
Dude, and that's really funny because those are the
Yeah.
90s Microsoft executives are some nerds.
Bro.
No, they
Yeah.
were a bunch
Well,
of like
Yeah.
Like picture Bill Gates with a huge glasses, like take the air,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
take it out of their lungs.
That scares me more than an actual mob boss, to be
crazy.
honest. Yeah.
Well, hey, this has been quite an adventure of a Waveform episode. This is what happens when we come back to our regularly scheduled programming. We just go off the rails, and maybe we should bring it back on the rails next week. But hey, it's fun
Yeah.
while we're at it. So root for more lawsuits, I guess. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. And I can't wait to see your crazy frog quotes in the comment section below.
Please.
Thanks, and catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bow, bow.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Robin. We're partnered with the Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro-outro music was The Crazy Frog. Or Vein Silt.
I think we're good.
You wanna-
Galaxy AI, Dub, IO, FSD. We've got all kinds of acronyms. Actually, every single story has an acronym. Isn't that crazy?
What's the Threads one?
AI, Dub, IO, FSD, and the Fediverse.
Well,
You
there's
could
also
wrote DOJ.
DOJ.
Yeah.
DOJ.
Or actually US.
US.
DOJ versus Apple.
W3C
Yeah, true. Well, that's
What?
for the Threads one.
yeah for the Threads one.
Oh.
A little bit.